Good morning, everybody. It is Friday. It is a cold and crisp Friday. There was frost all over everything this morning, frost all over the machine when I got here. It's cold down here in the low country of South Carolina, which I'm loving it because it kills all the bugs. Anytime there's cooler weather, it's just a lot easier on the machine, helps keep the machine a little cooler and stuff like that. So just wish it was cloudy. Me and the sun don't agree with each other too much. So anyway, we're back out here for day 2 on this hunting property, clear cut job. Cutting some trails yesterday. The owner's supposed to be coming out here to take a look at it this afternoon with his son. So hopefully I can get some clarification on a couple things, because when we came out here and looked at it, some of the stuff that he told me weren't really lining up with what I found. So we'll work that out. No big deal. He doesn't speak the best English, so maybe some things got lost in translation. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So what we got to do really shouldn't take too long. If he does want more stuff done, won't take very long at all. But until then, we have got to work on this clear cut right here that he wants knocked down. This is basically just like the other areas over there where we clear cut that, I don't know, we've done 5-6 acres over there at least. And I'm going to be coming back after I get back from Spain, because the other owner over there wants me to continue clearing out that other acre or 2 that we still got left to do over there. So we're going to do this. I'm going to leave, so all this was already cleared right through here up until that line there. I'm going to leave a little bit of a barrier going back that way of these pines in case he wants that. This was already cleared here, so there was no real barrier. So the line of trees actually started right about here somewhere. So I'm gonna keep just working that back, and we've probably got 1.5 acres here left to go, something like that. I'd say somewhere in that ballpark. I don't know exactly what it is, but we'll get it done. So I just put some grease in the machine. When I unloaded everything to go out of town to go to John's, I left my fuel cans at the shop and forgot to pick them up the other day. So I got enough fuel to run me for a few more hours, but luckily literally a mile down the road there's a gas station. So I'm gonna just I'm gonna run for another few more hours, then we'll just throw the machine back on the trailer real quick, run a mile down the road, fill her up with fuel, and we'll be good to go for the rest of the day. So let's crank her up and get to mulching. we got to watch those hydraulic lines that run underneath the attachment plate. There's two hydraulic lines that go up underneath there that run the pins that actually, you know, disconnect or connect any attachments, bucket, mulcher, whatever. The John Deere had electric pins. This one has hydraulic, and this was shoved in between the two hydraulic lines. So gotta watch out for that. All right, back to mulching. Everyone, let's get a little in-cab commentary here. It's been a minute since I did some in-cab. We'll make this quick. Just got started this morning with this, and it's going pretty quick. Liking the progress. TMC or the Greenaw was a better mulcher head. And honestly, the answer to that question depends on what I'm doing. For doing this clear cut like this, because this head is a little wider than the Greenaw, it's about 10 inches wider or something like that. The cutting width of the drum, so the cutting width of the actual cutter is as wide as the outside of the tracks. So it's a little wider, it's a little more efficient in taking down a little bit more at each pass. And then also it has the door, which, obviously you guys have seen me do a lot of work in the city, and that door works really nice because it helps keep, you can basically run this thing right up next to a street or a parking lot or a sidewalk and it will not throw at all, basically. That doesn't mean you don't have to be careful, but it really doesn't throw much at all with that door in the front if you close the door. The pre-knob does not have the door, so it wants to throw stuff everywhere. So it's not great for doing those kinds of jobs. But because it is a little smaller, if I'm working in tighter timber where there's not a lot of room to maneuver and you're trying to weave through bigger out in the middle of nowhere, the Prenoff's probably a little better for that. Because it's a little bit narrower of a head and it can just fit in those tighter areas a little better. The overall, the width of the Prenoff, the overall width of it is exactly track to track. So me and John were talking about this over the weekend. We both prefer a little bit narrower of a head, personally. But I will say a little bit wider head for these clear cuts makes this super nice. But if you're working in bigger timber a lot, if you're underbrushing in big timber, a wide head can really make your life miserable trying to work into tight spots. What'll also happen, and this happens a lot too, I'll show you a good example. So I got a big pine tree right here. If you're working in tight timber and you've got a real wide head, a lot of times, because you don't have good visibility in these things either, you'll be back dragging like that, and the edge of the mulcher can catch that tree, and literally you can rip the mulcher right off the front attachment. You can rip the mulcher right off the front of the machine if you're not careful, or bend your arm, or bend the mount plate, or rip a pin out, or break a pin. Like, you can do some damage if you're not careful. Depends on what you're doing, what kind of environment you're in. I like both heads, I really do. Prenoff makes a great product, no doubt. I love that Prenoff head. I've been really enjoying running this TMC too, and it's just been, it works a little better for this particular application out here. Just being a little bit wider head and mowing this stuff down just a little bit faster because it's just wider. That's the main thing. But like I said, bigger is not always better. The other thing with a wider head too is you've got a wider head. Every time you try to go in, like into those trees over there, you know, a wider head means it's also eating more, so it's taking on more resistance, so it's going to bog down a little quicker too with a wider head, because it's trying to eat more material because it's wider. So that's the other thing you're going to have to deal with. So if you've got a little bit less horsepower machine, you know, you don't want a super wide head, because you're just not going to have the power to eat a lot of material one time. A narrower head's going to eat a little bit less material, and it's just not going to bog down as quick. And you know, the last thing you want to do is make the head stall out completely. You want to keep those teeth churning. So you got to find that sort of happy balance between, you know, being productive and working the head, but also not just completely stalling it out either. But one of the reasons I got that smaller Prenoff head when I bought it, because that's the narrower one, it's only a 63-inch head cutting width. I bought that one because the John Deere was only an 85 horsepower machine. So I knew I had a machine that it didn't have the power to run a big wide head. You know, I didn't have the power to run a 72 or an 80-inch cutting head on the front of that machine. It just didn't have the power for it. So that's the main reason I bought that narrower head. That head pretty good, honestly. It didn't recover. The problem was it would spin it and just didn't didn't recover very fast, and anytime you got into any bigger material, it would bog down very quickly. It just didn't have any torque. It just didn't have torque. But it would spin it, and it did good on the jobs I used it on. I'll clean up around this tree. There we go. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of a sense. You know, if you have a question about that, you really have to look at the machine you're running. You know, if you've already got a machine, what its capabilities are. But this thing kicks butt at 42 gallons a minute. That's great. I'm running as low as 40 on some of those mowing jobs too, and it's worked great too. So hopefully that answers a few questions. With that, you guys had them. Get out of the way, Gumtree. So we'll just keep continuing on with this clear cut and see what we can get done here in just a bit. All right, we're gonna try to take down what's left of this pine that looks like maybe the pine beetles got to it or termites, I don't know. But it's dead as a hammer. But I think the inside of it is pretty hard because the piece that's down here on the ground right here that you guys can't see, I ground a little bit of it up and the middle of it was pretty hard. So the teeth on the mulcher are dull as hell because I didn't sharpen them this morning because this stuff that we're cutting doesn't really need super sharp teeth. The mulcher's grinding it up pretty good, even with dull teeth, and even dull knives are better than carbides all day long. So we're gonna see what we can do with this, but I'm gonna guess it's gonna be maybe a bit of a challenge to grind it up, but we'll find out. Better than I expected. That was pretty cool. The bottom was a little hard, but the top part of it was really soft. All right, well, let's keep knocking down these little pines and keep at it. All right, guys, end of the day. Here's that trail that I cut between those two gum trees. Turned out really well. They were really happy with everything. They did not really know about this ditch back here. They thought I could just keep going. So what we did was I just cut along this ditch and then we tied into an existing trail that they had over here, which I don't understand why. Maybe something got lost in translation. I don't know. They were kind of surprised to see this ditch, but there's this big mud hole that's part of this ditch that they go through. So what I did was, this trail going all the way back had not really been cut in. They had just run the four-wheelers over it. Basically, they had just gone through like right through that kind of stuff and just pushed everything down with the four-wheeler. So I just went ahead and cut that in. I'm not gonna walk it, but it goes all the way back around over there. So we cut that in, and over there where we did the cul-de-sac, they're gonna do like a four-wheeler race or something over there. So they wanted that ground down just a little bit finer for that, and so I did that, went over that a couple more times to get it ground down. And yeah, that's a mud hole there. Whew. I don't know how I'm ever gonna connect if they ever want to, because there's no way to cross this ditch. Not over here, not over there on the other trail, on the other owner's part. Like, there's no way to cross it, at least as it is now. There's another ditch that I had to cross to get onto this parcel, and I barely was able to get the skid steer through it, and it was dry, but it was such a big hole going down and coming back up. I was really worried about getting through there, but I got it, luckily. So, you know, they were like, you can't cross that ditch. I was like, heck no. People think these skid steers are like tanks and they can just go anywhere. No, they get stuck pretty easily. They can get, and that ASV is kind of bad about it with those tracks in the mud that we have here. It's great in the sand. If you're on sand, I mean, it does float really well, but as soon as it loses traction, those tracks don't do the greatest. But I got around, no getting stuck today. Whoop, whoop. Really happy about that. We'll go back around. The clear cut's way back over there on the other side of the property, so we'll go back around, take a look at that really quick, see what we got done, and that'll be the day. All right, everybody, there's the clear cut. We got a good bit. We got at least an acre in here done, I'd say, in probably about a day. I did about a half a day yesterday and about a half a day or so today. So I'd say that's a solid acre in here already done. This is thicker over here. These trees over here are a little bigger and a little more denser. It's a little thicker, and the trees are a little bigger than what I was dealing with over there on the other side of the clear cut on that side. So it's going a little slower, but still making really good progress in here. The mulcher was knocking that stuff down pretty good. I'm trying to leave them a little bit of a buffer along these edges in case they want it. If they don't, we can always come back and just knock it down. Take no time, but trying to leave that. But this looks nice in here, coming along very nice. So just got the machine blown off, got her cleaned up and loaded up, and I'm out of here. So hope you guys enjoyed the day, and I'll check you on the next one. Bye, everybody.